intro.
We are going to start by ignoring Luis.
Hi guys, Bulky.
And then we are going to simplify the square root of 160.
Yeah.
So when you guys did your warm-up, one of your answers was a decimal.
Yeah.
Basically, from now on, you will not have decimals.
Ooh.
Because we're going to simplify. So it's kind of like if you had, say, the fraction 4 over 8. That is 0.5, right?
No. Yes.
But you could also reduce that to 1/2, right?
No.
And how these are really the same thing, but this is written without decimals. We're doing kind of that same thing today, but with square roots.
No.
So we're going to simplify the square root of 160. And to do that, you guys remember back when we found the greatest common factor, and we said, what can you multiply together to get 160?
1 in 60.
Did you say 1 in 60?
Yeah.
That's 60, man, not 160.
80 times 2.
2 times 80, right? Or 80 times 2.
Yeah,
So I'm going to go 2 times 80. And what I want to do is I'm going to write this out with as small of numbers as I can. What can I multiply and get 80?
10 and 8.
10 and 8. Alright, that'll work. 80 is 10 times 8, right? But what's 10 really?
5 times 2.
5 times 2. And 8 is really 2 times 4, right? 2 times 4. But wait, 4 is really 2 times 2, right?
Stop.
You're not even writing
We
it down.
did this before, right?
Yes, you did this part before.
There's so much words.
So wait, did you get 2 times 5 times 2 times 2?
So we got a 2, a 5, a 2, a 2, a 2, a 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2s, and then a 5.
I really don't like this.
It's not that bad, man.
Where did that cross that number? 10, 10.
Yeah. Okay. So after you split it apart like this, we are going to rewrite our square root with all of these new numbers now. So it's still going to be 160, but we've written it with the smallest numbers that we could. So I'm going to have square root, and then I've got a 2 times a 5 times a 2
Yeah.
times a 2 times a 2 times a 2 like this. So this is still 160. 2 times 5 is 10, 20, 40, 80, 160. If you multiply them all together. Okay. Square roots are kind of special. If you ever have a pair of the exact same thing, a square root will like shove it together and kick it out. So I have a pair of 2's right here, right? These 2's are going to get like squished together and they're going to get kicked out. So they're not going to be inside your square root anymore. Instead, we're going to have a 2 over here on the outside that got kicked out. The reason this happens is just, I'm not going to do it this way, I just want to show you why. If I had a 2 squared, right, and then I square rooted it, what happens with the squared and the square root?
It disappears.
They disappear, right, and it's just 2. It's the same idea, we're just writing it out in a simpler way. So if I have a pair of 2's, a pair of the exact same thing, they get like squished together and then a single one gets kicked out. I have another pair here, right? Another pair of 2's. Those are going to like squish together and a single one's going to get kicked on the outside. And because everything on the inside is being multiplied together, when stuff gets kicked out, it's still multiplied together. And I have a 2 and a 5 left over on the inside. Because they're not the exact same number, they stay there. So I had a 2 times 2 on the outside, and I have a 2 times 5 left over on the inside. Yeah, Moses?
So do they have to be in order when you write it?
No, it can be wherever. So for example, I could have taken this 2 and this 2 and kicked them, and like shoved them together and kicked them out. So I just picked the ones that are next to each other. So I had a 2 times a 2 on the outside, which is really 4. And then I have my square root, and on the inside I have a 2 times 5, which is really 10. We just simplified the square root of 160 down to 4 square root 10. This is my simplified answer. It's kind of like reducing fractions. Kind of like that, same kind of concept. So this is my final answer. For the stuff you do today, you will not get any decimals.
Gee willikers.
Yeah, no decimals today.
There's going to be like a
Gee, really?
like a showtime on this.
Not really.
No?
No. It's not super difficult. And actually, after a while, you get pretty good at figuring out how they split up and what gets kicked out. So,
This is the
so we are just going to practice this today. And so our lesson, we're not going to go through everything because we're missing so many people. Alright, we're going to do the simplified form of the square root of 72. So I'm going to take 72, and I'm going to split it up. What times what is 72?
8 times 9.
8 times 9 is 72, right? Okay. Luis, what can I multiply though to get 9?
Luis. 3 times 3.
That's really 3 times 3, right? Ruben, what can I multiply to get 8?
4, that's it.
Times 2, right? And 4 is really 2 times 2, right?
So I said that right.
Okay. So I split 72 up into as small of numbers as I possibly can get. So I've got a 3 times a 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. Alright. So I'm just rewriting them inside my square root. Square root. Okay, so let's go through and look. Jace, what number do I have a pair of in here?
3.
I get a pair of 3s, right? So this 3s, they're like going to get shoved together and get kicked out to the outside. So I'm going to have a 3 on the outside. What else though?
2.
And 2s, I have a pair of 2s right here. So they're going to get shoved together and a single one's going to get kicked out. And because they were all times on the inside, they're going to be all times on the outside. And I got just a little singleton left over, right? It's going to stay inside there. So far. Alright. So I have a 3 and a 2 on the outside. I multiply them together to get 6. Then I've got my square root, and I just got a single 2, so I'm just write it back in there. Square root of 72, when I simplify it, is 6 square root of 2.
Wait, what? How'd you do?
Which part?
Is that your answer?
That's my final answer.
What? How did you get that?
How did you get that?
How'd you get the...
You literally just helped me get this.
What did you
That
do?
makes no...
Okay. We had a pair of 3s, right, Jason?
Oh, because you did 3 times
They
2
got
and
kicked
go
out.
left over 2.
And a single.
Yeah, I know that.
We had a pair of 2s that got kicked out. I have a single 2 left over, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a second pair that I haven't used yet that can kick out with it? No, so it's just going to stay there.
Oh.
So it doesn't get kicked out. Only pairs get kicked out.
What if there is nothing
I
left
get it
in
now.
there?
Okay.
Will there
Then-
always be something left in
Not
there?
always. That's actually a good question. So you know what? Let's do that next.
Yeah.
Okay. What if I had, let's say, square root of 36? I'll do this one next. All right. 36 is going to be, what, 6 times 6, right? But 6 is really a 3 times a 2. This 6 is
That's
really
48.
3 times 2.
It's 48, bro.
I know, I'm doing a random one. We're not doing 48. We're
No?
splitting it up. Or we're changing it. Square root of 36 instead. Okay. So I got square root of 3 times 2 times 3 times 2. Okay. On this one, what do I have a pair of, Bedelia? We got a pair of 3s, right? So 3s are going to get kicked out, and there's going to be a single one. And we got a pair of 2s that are going to get kicked out, and we're going to have we're going to go times 2 on there. All right. On the outside, I have 3 times 2, which is 6. Do I have anything left on the inside? No. So I don't even write the square root down. We're done. Just 6. So if the square root is empty, you don't write anything down. You don't even write the square root symbol, you just go 6. And some of these you can just kind of look at and just write down your answer. Because square root of 36 is just 6, right? We just kind of did it the long way. If you had like the square root of 4, you don't need to go 2 times 2 and kick it out. You can just go 2 and be done. Alright, your guys' turn. I want you to simplify square root of 50. On your own, on paper. Hey, you done, Moses?
Tubes. Go. You got the 3 times 2 at the end.
So now we're doing
3 times
50?
2 equals 6.
I'm done.
What?
Oh, because there's 2 6s.
Yeah.
Okay,
36
finish.
times 6.
I'm
Good.
done.
Sit tight while we wait for everybody else.
I see
I'm
now.
going to sharpen my pencil.
That is acceptable.
That's acceptable.
Hey.
I will accept it. Really? That's it? That's all you needed?
Yeah,
A little half
it was
shade.
just a little goal. So I just like sitting for like 2 seconds.
That was barely half a second.
It was like 2 seconds, dude. See, look at Ruben. All he has to do is
Getting out, I actually need more.
I dropped my pencil.
Okay, what's gonna get kicked
That
out?
was silly as a fan.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Five's gonna get kicked out, right? Kick out five.
Just
Have a second. Okay, let's remember, when it gets kicked out, it's like it's squished together. Only a single five. Only a single five. That's right. Pairs get squished into one and then get kicked out. I got five on the outside, right? So cross it out on the inside. You know, they got kicked out. Can you do anything else? Yep, so right down, push it up left.
Hey, shut up.
Sorry.
It's over.
Whenever there's pairs, as long as there's no pairs. Alright, let's go over this one. Please. How'd you split up 50?
Well, we figured, well, 50 times 1.
After that, yeah. What'd you get to split apart 50? Help me out then. What times what is 50? That's not 50 times 1. Well, that's too bad. Help me out. 25 times 2, right? Well, what's 25 really? 5 times 5, right? Okay. So I'm going to rewrite my square root. 2 times 5 times 5. Lily, what's going to get kicked out?
The 5.
5, they're going to get squished together and kicked out. And anything else?
Never.
Nope. So on this one, I had a 5 on the outside. Because there's no times or anything, it just stays as 5. Then I'm going to go square root, and I got this 2 just left over in there, just killing. So you've got to come back.
This is easy peasy now, Bobby.
That's it. We're done. Alright, let me think real quick to see if I want to do the next one, or I might just call it good. We'll see. I haven't decided. Hold your horses.
Does the homework have all the other stuff in it?
Yeah, so I'll cut it down. So I'm just trying to see what's on there right now. What are you doing, Luis?
Don't bother me.
Alright, we're going to do one last slide, but it'll be pretty easy.
Moses.
Okay. Alright, on this next one, we're going to find the simplified form of 2 square root of 56. So, I have a 2 on the outside already, right? Moses, turn left. What's going on over
I
here?
know how to.
Okay. I have 2 square root of 56. I already got a 2 on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore it right now, and this 2 is going to come back at the very end. So I'm just going to write it out here so it's a little easier for me to go with this. Okay. So I'm going to ignore this 2 on the front for right now, and I'm going to bring it back at the very end. And I'm just going to work on 56. Alright. I want to know what times what is 56. Alizea, I don't think I called on you yet. What times what is 56?
Why you gotta call on me? I don't even know what equals 56.
Alright, what's 56 divided by 2?
I don't know.
Plug it in Desmos. Desmos it. Desmos it.
28.
Okay, 2 times 28, right? Luis, how can you split up 28?
27?
No. No, it is
You mean
not.
27?
It is not.
That is 14 times 2.
Yep, 14 times 2, right? 28 is really 14 times 2. And Jace, what's 14 really?
7 times 2.
7 times 2? 7 times 2, right? Okay, so I split up 56. So we're going to have a 2 times 2 times 7 times 2. Okay, Adelia, what's going to get kicked out?
2.
A pair of 2s is going to get kicked out, get squished together, and get kicked out, right? Anything else?
Never.
Okay, so you remember how we had this 2 back at the beginning?
Yeah.
Now that we've kicked everything else out, this 2, since it started out on the outside, now that we are done with this part, it comes back to the outside, and it's going to be multiplied together.
Oh, I know about
So, the 2 started on the outside, it's going to stay on the outside, and it gets multiplied with whatever was already there. So I kicked out a 2, and I'm going to multiply it by the 2 that was originally out in front, and I get 4. Well, I got 4 out in front, and then I'm going to go square root of 7 times 2 is 14. That's my final answer.
We're so smart.
So if it's out in front, it's going to come back at the end.
There's so much writing.
No, this is not that bad. Remember AC
You
Taco?
say that every time.
This is 4 days of this.
There's like 4 things that we had to
Well,
do.
that means most of these are pretty short. So
So-
okay, so that is it. So we are going to skip this. I'm gonna skip this, but you can do your exit ticket because it's like ones we did.
I thought we were gonna skip that too.
Nope. All right, starting your exit ticket. I'll turn on Scretive, and your homework I'm gonna put on the board here in just a second.
What about Pac-Man?
Can't do that.
I don't care about him.
I do not care.
Yes, you do, Goki.
No man, I don't. I just don't.